Just me and you?
I think so.
Oh, we're live. Oh, shit.
What's going on?
What up, Tio?
Hey, how's it going, Benny?
Hey, stranger.
Aren't you Benny Ashburn of Crown, the dope CEO of Crowns and Apple Brewing Company?
Aren't you Tio Hunter, the CEO, head of operations, and lead janitor for Crowns and Apple Brewing Company?
Hey, first and foremost, hello, everybody joining us. We are so excited to be part of this conversation regarding hip hop, culture, and craft beer.
Right.
Jen Price, first of all, hats off to Miss Jen Price. What such an incredible resource and champion of diversity, inclusion, and racial equity. We always kind of joke about it, but we always talk about Jen being literally the most transparent person as it relates to business and craft beer than anybody we've ever seen. So that said, cheers to Miss Jen Price.
Cheers to Jen Price. And cheers to our other panelists who are coming. It looks like we lost Nappy Roots and we're waiting for Keenan.
Wait, hold on, BB. BB. Benny, listen. Hey, you know, we had to buy some time.
I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Hey.
I swear to God, bro. How do y'all walk through life without this not just being like, I feel like you should have a band. I feel like you should have a band just walking around, you know, like in what's that? Sucker?
I'm gonna get you sucker. That's your theme song.
Right. Y'all have a theme song. All right. We're gonna pass over the keys back to the OG. What's up, family?
What's going on, y'all? How everybody feeling tonight? Y'all looking good out there, beautiful black people.
Yes, always.
That's what I'm talking about. I want to shout out everybody out there in virtual world joining us tonight, man. This is something really cool for me. Just catching up with some people I haven't seen in a long time, personally in person, but just in general. Scales, I ain't seen you probably in about 10 of the things. At least
20 maybe. Try 20. It's been a long time, bro.
Maybe 20. This is a grand reunion right here.
Good to see you, fam. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's good to see you, Benny. Good to see you, Tay. Man. Skinny, what's good, man? Look, we're gonna start it off. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight at the Crafted for Action Beer Con. I want to shout out. Well, okay, that's how we start. Hey,
look, shout out to everybody in Atlanta. So we got to start with that new HBC.
That's actually pretty dope right there. I need a case right there on deck ASAP.
It's coming.
Okay.
We got some news. We got some news to drop at the end of the conference.
Right?
So.
Yeah. Oh, you guys, y'all homecoming ready? Okay.
Always. Like my man Sugar Free said, if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. So
hello.
Hey, well, I got to give a quick shout out too, because we over here drinking beer, like really exclusive stuff, man. No label on this beer right here. Shout out to my bro over at Hippin' Hops in ATL, man. First black-owned brick and mortar brewery in the state of Georgia. Yeah, man, drink with me. Yeah, so he didn't even got a label. He brought us a special package over, man.
That's like the equivalent to a white label in record terms, huh?
There you go.
Actually, that's a pretty fucking good beer name. No label.
No label.
Hey,
I want in.
Collab, fam.
That's what I'm talking about. That's how it works right there.
No labels.
I want to shout out Jen Price, of course, the curator, the person who actually is so passionate to bring all this together. Atlanta Beer Boutique for bringing us all together in this room tonight to talk about the influence of our culture, urban culture, black culture, the culture in the craft beer space. And I want to shoot you beautiful entrepreneurs for even stepping into the lane and giving us some options from our own people to partake in. This is actually pretty dope. So the name of the actual panel is Craft Beer in Hip Hop, Culture Appreciation or Cultural Appropriation. I think that's a hot button topic. So you guys are pretty familiar with the space. So I'm gonna let anyone who wants to jump in from the top and just kind of throw to it. Because I think I know what the answer is on it, and I'm gonna give my partake on it after that. But anybody can throw in. Is it appropriation or appreciation?
Depends on who's putting it out.
I'm gonna let the MCs take it first. I mean, because to be frank, like what we do is in our brand is we pay ode to the craft. So I think I speak for Benny and myself. Brothers, please take the lead.
Thank you. For us, as we travel across the country, our goal was to meet people who wanted to come to our shows from a brewery. You know, and so a lot of the times we would see these breweries, we would take the tour, the owners and the brewers, national groups or hip hop in general. You walk through there, they're playing hip hop. We would get them to come to our shows. Is how we kind of got into this. It's like we can go there and siphon off some of their crowd when the bar closes and come hang out with us at our show. So we've always been trying to cross over the lines between hip hop and craft beer. So we know there's a line there, and we know that there's people on their side that want to enjoy what we do as rappers. And as rappers, we want to enjoy a good craft beer before we go on stage. And so we've seen both sides of the fence as we travel. We've seen peers that like, okay, wait a minute, what are you doing? Like, that's not cool, you know. Or we've seen people that's like, you know, they just want to be a part and want to help bring hip hop to craft beer. So my view of it is, a lot of times I think it shouldn't happen. I think we should be kind of holding our culture what we do, but I think some of the times that I see it, I'm not offended by it. You know what I'm saying? Like in regards to them coming into our neighborhoods and putting a brewery, you know what I'm saying, and gentrification in a sense, going into a low-end neighborhood and buying getting the property for cheap and putting a brewery, which is, you know, in one way it could be helping the neighborhood, another way it's raising the taxes where the people that live in it can't afford to stay there anymore. And then, you know, that happens all the time all over the country where we go out and then everyone moves in, and then when we move in, everybody wants to move out. Yeah, I think it's a thin line between what's cool and what's not cool, in my opinion, in regards to how we rock. And we should be the gatekeepers of that on what's cool and what's not cool. We should check people for when you stepping over the line, and we should also be receptive to people that want to still be a part of hip hop. Those white rappers, you know what I'm saying? There can be black brewers, and you know, as that flips and flops, we have to be able to understand that's what they're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I see it. We see it for what it is.
Right. And the relationship needs to happen. Like, you know, a lot of these brewery owners, 30-year-old white men, they're hip hop fans. They grew up on hip hop. A lot of them grew up on it. And, you know, I kind of look at it like it's all marketing, man. Everybody trying to sell something. There is some stuff that is distasteful. You know, I've seen a can. It was like a playoff for Biggie's Ready to Die. But it was a white dude's face. Yeah. But it was the baby from Ready to Die. You know, some stuff ain't really tasteful. And like Skinny said, we've been able to go and meet some of these guys. So we know who really, like, we kind of see who respects it and who's just trying to cash in. That happens in everything. Like these cans, these album covers that are made, they are made to sell. You know, they're made to sell a product. So somebody copy that to sell another product. They're trying to sell beer. You know, so it's always been an interesting thing for me about the culture appropriation. You know, I think it's a very thin line. You look at how I would like to ask. Let me ask: how do y'all feel about like the culture of hip hop adopting the whole like mafia culture? Like that's something we've done in hip hop. Is that culture appropriation?
That's a fact. I think part of that with hip hop was always about being aspirational as well, because we've always looked towards where the money was, because we never had it in mass. And when you look at the whole mafia or anything that represented getting money in America, those were the archetypes. So we naturally modeled ourselves around it. You know what I mean? And we didn't always see that in ourselves in our own communities, unfortunately. You know, which is great about today. Now you get to see more, you know, more people of color doing well, more examples of what it means to be successful and be authentically Black, which personally I didn't see a lot of that when growing up. So you know, I can see why coming up, you know, you had the Wu Gambinos and
Right.
you know, and people taking on, you know, mafia monikers, because that's what looked like what power looked like. So I always understood what that meant, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I'm glad to hear that, you know, you guys are saying that there's been openness to actual, you know, being in the mix and no pushback, or has there been pushback? This is for Benny and Tay. Like, you guys have been up for how long now?
6 years you've been doing this now, about. I think. Oh, thank you. I think out of this group, I'm probably the last to probably be introduced into craft, and I think as I learn more about it, it is a thin line. It's a very thin line, because from the outside looking in, there are breweries that use hip hop culture references to sell product. But to your point, when you actually meet the brewers and you realize that's all they do is listen to hip hop, that's all they grew up on, that's what they know, you're like, okay, if most of these craft breweries are representative of the culture of the owners and where they grew up and kind of their representation of how they live their life, then okay, I can understand the hip hop references because it makes sense for you. That is what you are used to. But I think way more than not, people are definitely using our culture like they do in most beer products, anything, to sell, to simply sell and to target a demographic of people who are, you know, don't necessarily know the difference. You know what I mean? We just don't. I mean, 90% of us being in this craft beer industry really feel some sort of way about what Big Beer has done and how they've done such an amazing job of targeting Black and brown communities and selling the worst possible products.
Wow.
Festivals, they hire big giant artists, they pay them lots of money to attach them to the brand. But why? Why are they attaching them to the brand? Why are people making these choices? And why are we following so blindly with these brands that we're spending all of this money to support something that's not coming back into the community? So I think the people on this panel have identified that, wanted to take back some of that cultural ownership. And I think that is why we do what we do. That is why we are in this industry, to make a change so that if we are going to buy these products, at least we're buying them for ourselves, by ourselves, and giving it back to the community. So it's a thin line.
I feel extraordinarily passionate about this topic. I get very emotional about it as well, because when you really think about it, you're talking about an industry, and I'll explain what power looks like in a moment. But you know, you're talking about a industry that has 8,000 plus white-owned breweries, less than 1% Black-owned, and of that 1%, probably less than 1% actually have their own production facilities. So what we're talking about is an industry of individuals who have resources, who are utilizing a culture of individuals that currently aren't present in their industry. And to me, when you put a moniker or language or an image on a can, once it leaves you, it stands on its own. So if it looks like hip hop, then the person getting that beer are going to think that the individuals that put that out have some affiliation and or have been granted access to use hip hop for the sake of capitalizing. Right now, we're living in a time to where Benny and I are tired of letting things go unchecked. You know, to what my brothers just said now, like we're not having it. That doesn't mean that we're going to go on witch hunts for people that are projecting hip hop, because hip hop in some instances is bigger than religion on this globe. And some people feel that passionate about hip hop in order to incorporate it and indoctrinate it into their philosophy in terms of cans, in terms of art, whatever the case might be. But when you put out a can, and actually we make it a point, I'll call a brewery. I won't put them on blast, but what I will do is slide in that DM. I will pick up the phone. I will have a question, and I will ask them genuinely, why do you feel so strongly about this culture that you feel that you can put it on a can or put it into something that would ultimately be an indicator that you have the receipts to do this, especially when the people aren't representative in our culture. And ultimately, like, I'll give you an example. Mumford Brewing in LA. Them cats probably have more of a right to put hip hop on their can than most breweries in the game. Them motherfuckers had a studio in LA where Peanut Butter Wolf, Jay Dilla, all the original Stone Throw cats were putting together music. I get it. You guys got receipts, but you also have breweries like Evans Brewing somewhere in SoCal that literally named a beer WAP. Literally put Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B's image on this can, and that what it did is it gave everybody the impression that this was authorized. And that needs to go unchecked, because at the end of the day, to finish that point, that is IP theft, straight up. And we all know, either being in the industry, being in advertising, being in marketing, that is lazy creative and it's theft. Yes. So that's really what for us the conversation had been around.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Skip. Yeah.
Well, I feel like it should police itself as well. Like, people should know what's authentic and what's not. Like, people use rap music and hip hop for everything. Like, YouTube makes a living off of it. Commercials make a living off of hip hop. As gatekeepers, I guess that's more of the consumer saying, you know what, I don't like the way y'all using this particular marketing scheme. I don't like how y'all using WAP. That's, like you said, lazy. That's lazy.
But see, the difference between that scales at the end of the day is someone is getting a royalty check. So someone is getting paid for that.
That's true.
And what we're talking about the unchecked industry of craft beer, who already has a significant issue with breaking down barriers to getting into their industry, utilizing a culture with zero attribute. Right. And to me, that's a problem.
They were checked. Evans Brewery ended up taking down all of the artwork for those cans because the whole industry came for them and was like, hell no, you're not about to do that. And they took it out.
But it's on pop radio. My bad. Go ahead.
Well, my thing is, do we want to address why it's happening? Why this is happening versus it's happening? Do we want to be proactive or reactive to the situation is how I would look at it. It's a problem. They're running out of shit to make names on because they've been holding down the industry for so long, but we've not been a part of it. That's why they need us to be a part of it so they can get that new market segment that's out there floating around.
Let me ask this.
As black brewers in the hip hop community, lean on more of, yes, there are a bunch of black beers from rappers out there that you should try out. Now, those black beers from rappers are in probably a white-owned brewery, but that will give those rappers who have a lot of disposable income the idea that we had about starting our own shit. Instead of spending our money in strip clubs on rims and systems and bullshit, we decided to put our disposable income where we have fun at and our passion. And I would say in a few years, I think that will weed itself out. I think you'll find out that that's not going to be receptive, right? Because they're just trying it out. There's more and more people like us. I think we can weed that out. I'm not with it. I don't like it, but I do feel like the truth.
Y'all sounding like screwed and chopped right now.
Yeah, your signal is breaking up a little bit, brother.
Nah, it's a great point. You were saying something.
Yeah, you were saying some great stuff, but your signal was breaking up a little bit, Skinny.
Oh shit!
No,
that was
it. There's nothing you can do with the technology, man. Technology sometimes gonna fail you. It's all right.
Yeah, we're back in the back of our brewery, man.
So let me ask you guys this: do you think that the industry is moving towards trying to market towards hip hop because hip hop is popular, or because black people are becoming more familiar with craft brewery and craft beer?
Both.
Because I will say though, I am starting to feel it is because black people are starting to recognize that black people are getting into craft beer. And because we are the number one buying power and spending power, they're like, oh, word, right. So black
Where's
people
the
like
income?
craft beer now, right? So let me see who I can find to. Again, a lot of the bigger white brands are partnering with these artists like they did with the Budweisers and the Colt 45 and all of that, and it feels like it's recycling itself a little bit. But I think as long as we continue to stay as true and authentic to what we're building, to your point, it will weed itself out because we'll still be here, and the generational wealth that we're all creating will sustain way beyond those kind of quick hits of not so great products being pushed on the community.
Yeah.
I mean, well, in my opinion, like, black people, and let's get really to it. Black culture is a thing that's now starting to be siphoned off. And really it's about who has the means to frame their culture in anything. Who has the means, who has the capital to frame their culture and leverage it in a way that allows you to create a business model, to extend that business model, and then to share that information with someone else who also has that same idea. What's been happening, dude, people are putting Biggie on cans for the past decade with no checking. People have been putting Mac Dre on cans in the Bay Area with no checks and balances. Like, that shit has been happening. What's happening now, there is a reckoning. There is a reckoning because someone is going, whoa. Hold on. You telling me you in a black neighborhood, you walk into your brewery, you never playing hip hop, but now you got a Biggie can, and that Biggie can is in distribution to where no one knows who it's coming from.
Right.
So, it's really about our culture.
That's bad. That's bad.
You can't use people's likeness and make money out there. Like, I feel like that's just shouldn't be done in no business. The thin line is making sure people are inclusive, but at the same time not offending us. And it's kind of tough to balance that out, I'm sure, for some people.
Wow. I like to ask Skinny and Scales specifically, being in the South, have you felt like, because I live in the South as well, have you felt any, visceral pushback from the craft community in a different way than maybe Benny and Teo have?
I haven't. You saying pushback from us getting into the industry?
Yeah, from getting into the spaces and places where you can actually build the brand and actually make it and have it to grow, and be them being accepting of it and not pushing back, and not, like, for instance, so many products are trying to get shelf space or trying to get bar space, and it's all these white brands out here that's been here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Have you felt any kind of pushback to you guys trying to get in these spaces?
I haven't.
Nah, not for us.
Yeah, and to the point we was making earlier about
Y'all internet don't act right.
No, you're cutting out.
Breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay. But yeah, it's also, people realize that craft beer is being oversaturated, but there's a whole market that hasn't been touched or discovered. I'm sure that where
Clicking out, guys. I'm sorry.
They got that dirty connection.
Okay, we can hear you now.
All right.
You're back now. I'm sorry. Kind of back.
Yeah, but yeah, man, hip hop, craft beer is oversaturated. Like, they've sold craft beer to every white person they can sell it to. So now it's like a new market of black people that are becoming more and more interested, and each brewery wants to be the first to make contact.
So they can't afford to be like that down here. Like, they need us to come in there to give them that extra little bump they need. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was that bad out there in California where they was misappropriating to that level.
Hey, look, it's been a ton of places, and you also have to consider California. If a motherfucker feels entitled to do what they want to do with no checks and balances and no one there to question them, they're going to do exactly what they want to do. And even more to the point, I would say the major difference, Keenan, between Atlanta and California is they need Black consumers in Atlanta. You ignore the Black consumer in Atlanta, that's your death certificate business-wise. In California, they don't need us.
They don't need us at all.
So it's one of them things to where for us, Benny and I use our entire skill set to not just promote and talk about our love for hip hop, but we're not that monolithic of a people as well. Hence why we talking about HBCU. We got a beer talk that talks about the urban anomaly, which is the outliers, the one who are trying to spread this love of entrepreneurship and things like that. There is a whole nother scope that comes in craft beer.
I need to try that DJ beer y'all got though.
Oh, Wheels of Steel. Wheels on me.
I'll bring some out to you, fam.
I think being in LA, I wouldn't say it's been necessarily harder. It's just when we started, no one was having the kind of conversations that we were having, particularly in California. Like, and it is only recently that the conversations are starting to expand, and we're really starting to see people show up in a very consistent way. But I also think if we were in any other city, I don't know if we would be able to, if Crowns and Hops would still be the same. I think because of the scarcity and because there isn't a lot of people doing what we do, it allowed us to stand out in this void and be very singular. Like, hey, we're out here, we're making it work, we're trying to make a change and be different. And it felt so big because it is bigger than beer. It's always been bigger than beer. For us. And unlike Atlanta, there really aren't any places, period, in Los Angeles for Black people to really congregate, have conversations, come together.
Atlanta is like fucking Wakanda.
Right. Yeah, I mean, basically, when you go to Atlanta and there's no place you can go and you won't see a surplus of other Black people that look or feel like you. But here it's like, I don't know, every weekend we're like, well, where do we go? Who can we call? What do we do? It doesn't really exist here like that. So it's a lot more jarring, and the void's bigger.
That's funny you say that. When I moved out there briefly last year for a few months, I had planned on moving my entire family out there, and I found myself saying, where are the Black people? Like, what is going on? Atlanta really spoils you, man, and really puts you in a space of comfort being around your folks and having opportunities to be around people not just that look like you, but are in the same headspace or social economic space. You know what I mean? And that's a blessing, because I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I had a question for you, kind of from the outside looking in.
Yep.
What industry would you say had literally complete anonymity? Did I say that word right?
You said it.
Yeah. To using and or leveraging hip hop culture without hip hop actually being involved. Can you cite any other industry that has done that for
and not got chin check for it? No.
Yeah, and that's my point.
No,
it's like there was no one there to do the chin checking, and if there was someone to say chin check, to provide those checks and balances, there was so few of us, and we were so spread apart that they didn't take our concerns or our issue as it being something that was relevant or something even bring up.
They didn't.
To that point, T, I think that's why the Black people love beer and the brown people love beer shirts and merch and all that stuff hit a lot harder than even we expected it to hit, because again, people weren't taking us serious, right? Mm-hmm. But the more that shirt popped up, the more people saw the hashtag, the posts, and realized, oh shit, there's more than just the Tio and the Bennies talking about this. Like, this is actually something to be considered. And people were putting that shirt on, not even knowing it was attached to us, which was totally fine, as a way to make a declarative statement when they step into a brewery or they go to a festival. Like, guess what? Black people like beer too. Fuck with us. You know what I mean? Yeah, it just became it became as symbolic as wearing a HBCU shirt or, you know, anything that just brings people closer together. And I think that's how the movement keeps building.
It was like you were playing your flag on the ground, letting people know we're here.
Well, even that, but that we were already here.
Right.
And I think that's what Skinny and Scales represented. I mean, they were already making it happen already, you know, either through contract, they were already doing it. You got L. Sharpton, who was probably one of the first dudes who literally started doing this bridge between hip hop and craft beer. He did one of the first interviews I ever saw with L was L talking to DJ Quick about craft beer. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, it was groundbreaking, and that was almost a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I mean, we always been here, but we weren't united like we were.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure Skinny could attest to that. When we finally connected at Fresh Fest, it was like seeing your long lost cousin. It was
best damn family reunion I've ever been to.
It was like, yo.
It was immediate.
Right.
It was immediate, instantaneous.
Right. Black Craft Beer Bill 2021. What's up? Like, everybody knows each other by Instagram. Nobody knows each other's first name, but we all know each other's Instagram handles.
Right.
I love that. I have a question about flavor profiles. Do you guys find that there's a certain flavor profile that we Black people would like more than others? And what's the entry point for someone who doesn't necessarily know a lot about craft beer? Where would you steer them to first to get them interested in craft beer as opposed to the typical Heineken, which I only knew for the first 25 years of my life? You know, that's all I knew was Heineken and Corona. So what do we like most, and what is like that entry point that you think?
I'm super interested in the answers for this too myself. We've spent the last 6 months waiting on our license to open as a brewery, just giving away free beer, trying to find out what people like Black women, Black men who, like you say, drink Heineken. You know, I think as Black people, we like bold flavors. I definitely think we like something sweeter, you know, and that's probably any non-beer drinker. They want something a little sweeter. But I've had good success with the fruity beers, fruity non-IPA beers, like a Hefeweizen. We got a peach Hefeweizen that we've been pouring lately that people really like.
It's amazing. I need a case. Yes, I'll be.
Yeah, I would almost
I got some great recommendations too for you, but I've just found that the bold flavors work better for us. Sometimes that means sweeter, heavier, high ABV beers, but it's something that we constantly trying to figure out. And I would love to hear what Benny and Tio have to say, from their standpoint.
I would open up by like one of the first things that I ever asked a professional beer panel before, and that's like, how do I bring craft beer? How do I make Black folks more interested in craft beer? And I'm talking to like OGs in the craft beer game, like Sierra Nevada cats. And the dude gave me the bluntest, most honest question that I still prescribe to today. He said, "You can't say shit. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can make. Your responsibility is to give them the beer and let their palate tell the truth." Options. That's all we want. We don't like being put in a fucking box. Who likes that? That's what Big Beer did.
It's an amazing answer.
Yeah, but dude, we got a stout, we got a hazy IPA, we got a clear IPA, we got a crazy IPA with me looking like a karate blast. We got Crowns and Axes.
What is this?
That's Crowns and Axes. That's
what kind of it? What kind is it?
That's a strawberry guava goes.
First, let me say this. Shout out to Swerve. Shout out to Kevin Irvin. We just went in his stash. I owe you one, bro. I owe you
but just to finish the point, our responsibility being in this industry and people discovering craft beer through us for the first time is to give them a scope. To give people a scope. we are so, like I said, we are not monolithic, and even more to the point, our taste buds are even, you know, less discerning. Like, give the people something great, because at the end of the day, HBCU has no fruit in it, but the hops that we used are rich with notes of stone fruit, of guava, of pineapple. And to me, there's more of an opportunity with someone understanding that you could get the attributes from literally the 4 ingredients of craft beer before you add anything to it. And then the doors are kicked the fuck off.
Absolutely.
Like
I can give you my thought is, because this was the turning point for me, was as a hazy, and that's probably why hazies do so well, because it tastes like the polar opposite of everything you think about when you think about beer. It's not necessarily bitter. It smells amazing. It's got all of this, fruit forward profile. Like, I think the first time I had a hazy, I was like, what is this? This is a beer. You're telling me this is a beer, right? Because again, I'm used to the Heinekens and the Budweisers and the Coronas, everything that's really flat and kind of watered down. And the first 4 years of our brand, all we did was events. And all we did was content, and all we did was tasting. So we, similar to what you guys did, it was research. Hindsight, we've been doing our homework to understand what it is that Black and brown people are more accustomed, or would try, and or come to our events, say, I don't drink beer, and then we'd like, just first you start with smell this, right? Because that's always where you get them. And you're like, oh, what is this delicious? And then they taste it, and then everything changes. Particularly in my case, I've experienced with Black women who, to me, are the hardest converters, in my opinion, because they really are like, I do not drink beer. The ones that I know.
Yeah.
For me, between the hazy and the sours and the fruit.
This will work.
Charted ales, yeah, they're like.
Hey, look, that's an older beer. And trust me, fellas, I got y'all, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's holding its own though. I mean, it's
good.
It's still
but
good.
That's a good place to start if you want to introduce a nice hazy and just watch their entire face.
Let their real quick funny story. I actually did a beer tasting with a bunch of Benny's friends once, and I brought probably one of the more sacred bottles, which is called De Garde. It's a brewery that does sours. They do some of the best sours in the world. Bro, I poured all these incredible Black executive queens, this bottle, and went to go chop it up with one of my boys who was in a room. And when I came back, they were muddling fruit all up in it. And literally,
he was hot.
Oh, bro, but to me, my heart broke. Dropped. And them sisters looked at me and said, brother, you gave me the beer. I can do whatever I want. And I had to check myself. Because once I gave them the beer, it wasn't mine anymore. I let their palates told them what to do to that beer. And that was just fun.
We had it in wine glasses. Like, it's a whole, it becomes your own experience. And that's what we have come to realize, right? And I think that's the difference between your average craft beer snob, which is the culture is completely shifting from. You got to make it your own thing. Whatever you want it to be for you, there is a style that offers you something that makes you feel good and want to share a pint. You just gotta explore it and be open to that.
Well, I like what T.O. said too about we're not monolithic, so we do want to be respected when we walk in. Like, we don't want, I don't want somebody to say, look at me and say, hey, I think you're like this. Yeah, I'm looking at everything. Like, let me know what you got and I'll make a choice. So, I do like that aspect of it. Definitely.
I mean, Jessica is like blowing these questions up. But again, it's funny. It was I remember hearing or reading this interview from Seal, the singer, and he was asked once, why don't you write liner notes, or why don't you put the lyrics of your song? And he's like, well, once I make the art and give it away, it's not mine, it's theirs. And if someone hears in it,
what they want to
my
hear.
heart is broken, but I'm stronger than you think, and that's not what he wrote or what he sung, but that's what they heard, and they found salvation in that. Then that's beautiful. Then that's great, But the problem with hip hop, going back to hip hop and craft beer, is motherfuckers is putting Sill's lyrics on there, and they ain't putting Sill. They ain't giving credit to Sill.
No
They ain't giving credit to Sill.
no licensing agreement, no nothing.
They sampling.
Nothing.
They're sampling and they're not paying the publishing is what's happening.
Mixtapes all day.
That's how you want to say it.
Before we move on too, Keenan, you speaking about beer flavors. We've been trying some different stuff like beer mimosas.
They actually put that in the chat. They said you make a great beer
cocktail.
Yeah, beer cocktail. They sent you the one.
We trying everything, man. We trying some beer Bloody Marys, like just switching it up, making it more exciting.
Right. You got to think outside the box. For us, I think we got to think of this beer shit, as I say it all the time, like George Washington Carver. You know what I'm saying? They don't want us to know that we actually started beer. They try to erase that from us when we came over here. Yep. They don't want us to know that we started this shit. And once we can do what George Washington Carver did with the peanut and find over 300 uses for this shit, we're out of here, man. They'll know that we're on a whole nother level. Like they had 300 years. They had a 300-year head start before us to even get started in this motherfucker. So you give us even 3 more years of what we got. Both of us are going to be light years ahead of what they was doing for the last 20, 30 years. Like, real talk.
That's a huge
marketing spiritual, sample it, and make a hit out of it. You think we can't turn this craft beer shit, plain Jane IPAs, and straight up whatever stouts and German style traditional? You think we can't make a traditional African-American style beer? Traditional, over 300 years of knowledge and pain and struggle and effort. I don't give a fuck. You're not gonna tell me I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. You can't stop me.
Let's go, Skinny. It's around on you, baby. I'm following you right now.
We're gonna take this shit over.
What I want to see is that section of the Cicerone course. As they hit every country in every region, I want the African American section of the Cicerone course. Like, you need to know about what they have done to be an expert in the craft beer category. That's
to Jen's point, man. That's what our community does. That's what our culture does. We're the fucking most innovative human beings on the planet. Bro, do you realize our ancestors created jazz, which spawned rhythm and blues, which spawned rock and roll, which spawned hip hop? Dude, jazz in itself is the first American art form that literally came from this country. And you're telling me if we have the ability to take some brass and some strings and reinvent what you even thought the scope was available, to Skinny's point, just wait till you see what we do with this liquid, fam.
Man, it's just a matter of time, man. All we gotta do is stay out of jail, child support court, and fucking getting pulled over, man. We might be all right at this motherfucker, man.
Right? And the IRS ain't no punk either.
I was about to say,
you gotta pay our taxes, man.
Because out of all the motherfuckers you mentioned, that may be the worst one. Goddamn it!
Yeah, exactly.
They don't forget, man.
And the funny thing, real quick, I would just put out there, just from an IRS standpoint, call them motherfuckers, y'all. Like, don't be running from them. Them motherfuckers is nice as hell. And see, and that's an element too about, you know, I know it kind of deviates from hip hop, but this is the business of beer standpoint. Like the ABC, the states, fuck what people say and how they be crying about it. Like build bridges with these entities and these groups, because you're gonna get leverage that you can then pass on to the next motherfucker coming up through it. You know,
man. You gotta play the game. You gotta lean into some of these problems. We run from them. We don't go to the doctor. We don't want to fucking deal with the police. We don't want to call the police when it's a problem. We definitely don't want to deal with the IRS. But if you're trying to open a brewery, trust me, you're going to have to deal with them motherfuckers.
Yeah.
First, so they know you, and you can have a conversation versus you find out that it's too late and you ain't right, man. Like,
Skinny, let's get some
Gotta
context.
get our shit together. If we want to get back, we got to get our shit together.
Skinny, let's get some context on that. You guys have been trying to get your licenses and everything together. How long has that process been, trying to bring everything to fruition? I
feel like it's about 7 or 8 months.
Okay.
It's not just the license, and it's construction. More than anything, it's finding this place that speaks to you, you know, that you can afford. You know, I think that as African Americans, we're not going to start off with a 10, 15 barrel system. We're going to start off small because we don't know if niggas going to like the shit. You know what I'm saying? So we want to lean into that and we want to grow with the system is how we thought about it. So we're starting off small, but funding and financing was key. Having a strong business plan that's written down in black and white, and not you ain't just talking about it over smoking weed, over the fire pit, 3 times a week. But you got to write that shit down. You got to get your finances in order. You got to get the projections of what you plan on making, how much you're trying to sell, how much that's going to cost. You got to convince people that that's what you want to do to get them to believe in you, to at least help you get some of the equipment, or get some people that believe in you to give you equipment. That's all at the beginning. And then you got to, again, convince your building that you're getting, this is what you want to do and make the changes to it. So, all of that happened. And then because of COVID, there's a backlog in the licensings and all of that. So it's been about 7 to 9 months that we've been dealing with it hardcore. But, as Benny came, we have an event space. So as soon as we got we was able to start throwing dope events. And so, it's a little bit different. We learned that from other breweries. Like, that's how you offset it, is throw events at your space. And that can help, you raise awareness and get some revenue coming in. So you're not worried about all the time spent building it and not making any money, And so we've been blessed, Atlanta's dope. It's a city of opportunity, it's a city of networking, and the African-American beer scene here is crazy more than anywhere else, you know what I'm saying? And we show love and support each other. So I think we've had an easier time opening up than I think some people were in other places of the country. So,
T.O. and Benny's from concept to completion, opening your spot. Like, how long was that process?
I mean, we still ain't open. Shit. Okay. That's about 6 years. No, it's again, me and Tio are aiming for the big space, like, and I think it's because of all the time we've spent building this and seeing how big this could possibly be. We were like, fuck it, we're just gonna go for the 15 barrel system, some ginormous space, and with that requires a lot of capital. I mean, there's there's no ways around it, and we're not in a city that's like the backwoods of, nope, we're in Los Angeles, we're in Inglewood, the home of the new Rams and Chargers stadium.
Yep.
We're asking for millions plus budget out the gate, but it's like that's what we want to do. That's what we're committed to doing. That's what we're going to do.
Foreshadowing.
Is what we're going to do. And wait, one second. And we've spent the years, like Skinny said, you gotta play the game. We have, and I don't want to call it a game because we have spent and dedicated a lot of time to getting to know the city of Inglewood, understanding the community, the city council. But we have spent years going to council meetings, sitting in, listening to what the community has to say about the neighborhood, meeting all of the key members who approve everything, and having them see our face. I think there was a point me and Tio were at the city council at least 2-3 times a week, just being there. So you know who Tio and Benny is when it's time to submit the paperwork and the permitting.
Ain't no thing.
Because you know what we've been doing. And I think there's a lot of there's a lot of ego checking when you do things like that, because most people don't want to put in that kind of work. But it is what it is. Like, you gotta do the work. You gotta put in the time.
Yeah.
This is not fly by night.
Hey, y'all deserve that though, because y'all put in the work. Even folks here in Atlanta are looking at y'all in Cali and respecting the grind and the hustle that y'all doing. Y'all deserve a production facility that can facilitate what you guys created on the West Coast. I applaud y'all. I look up to y'all for what y'all been doing, and it's like, we're walking and chewing gum. We might be down in the South, and we got a lot of help down here, but you guys are holding it down on the West.
That's right.
I wonder how many breweries that are black are out there that are looking up to y'all, helping y'all out. Like, is there any out there? Like, what's that about?
There are. We've been able to work closely with Urban Roots, which is in Sacramento. Good brothers. We even hollered at the homies at Full Circle, which we know are good friends of yours as well. But to Benny's point, it's funny. We had a really interesting day to where we had conversations with people who thought that we were anything less than community focused. And when I mean community, I mean in this craft beer community. And we spent this whole morning like trying to express like our perspective and showing our receipts in terms of what we're doing in terms of affecting or bringing impact. Even launching an initiative to help fund other Black-owned breweries. And ironically, an article on us came out in the Times, and I would just literally read to you that the first lines of the article: Crowns and Hops does not want to be the only Black-owned brewery you love.
Wow.
Period.
Fire.
When I tell you, we don't win unless they win.
Right.
Fuck that, man. Dude, do you realize we're less than 1% out of 8,500 breweries?
Yeah.
Do you realize how ridiculous that is? But even more to the point, how difficult it's going to be for us to overcome just to even get to 2%, which means 160 breweries, which is a pretty tall order. And if we're not focused on impacting that and dropping breadcrumbs and promoting, I could promise you, anytime we in Atlanta, we're going to make sure we tip our hats to Scales, to freaking Skinny, to L, to everybody in the community. That's what you do when you go to someone else's hood, right?
I haven't seen many. I'm sorry, Lo.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I hadn't seen many things bring Black people together like I've seen over this beer. Like we've come together from here to LA. It's like, bro, what you need from us? It's very few questions asked what you need from us, and it's coming from all ways, from brothers in DC, Sankofa. I don't want to get the names.
That's the homies,
But everybody's like, okay, you in town, what can I do? Like, what can I do for you? And it's bringing us together, man, in a way that I hadn't seen music do. I hadn't seen any product bring us together like beer has, And it's just a symbol, but beer is bringing us together in a real nice way. I like it.
Word.
Better than the other way that brings us together, which is cops killing us.
All right. It's a genuine movement behind this beer.
It's safer.
We meet every Sunday. Shout out to Maurice Garland and Swerve.
The leaders.
We leaders of the brew school. We're meeting around beer.
He texted me today. He was like, "Yo, you need to come through on Sunday." He texted me.
It's never been a problem.
I'm hella jealous every fucking time I see a post about some independent beer community meetup, congregation events. I'm like, damn, we don't. It's okay to come in, and that is why our space has to be huge, because there is no other space for us here in LA. It just does not exist for us, and we need a place where we can all just come at one time and just kind of be together, because we don't get these little pockets.
Right here.
Exactly.
Necessary, man. It's so
necessary. I might have to come to Atlanta to do that, man. For real. Like, I'm gonna have
to fly to Atlanta on this trip.
Hey, you know what though? I tell you what, if y'all came down here a little more than what y'all do, y'all would change so much of the vibe here to where you would find what you're looking for, that we can take that back to other places. You know what I'm saying? Like what Fresh Fest was to us. That was in Pittsburgh. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't see that coming. I missed the first year. But that changed my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that many cool Black people can hang out and all about beer and music. It was crazy. Like, it was crazy. Like, and one thing that's happening in the country, I want to be there. And one thing I would say, that's what's happening. That's what's happening that they don't see coming. And once they see that coming, they're not gonna like it, but they're gonna have to respect it.
But you know, one thing I will say about that event, when freaking Nappy Roots got on that stage, there was an event that was like 2 or 3 blocks away. Literally, everybody from that white event came over to Fresh Fest. And when I tell you the energy in that crowd at a Black themed craft beer festival was bananas.
Yeah, it was dope.
It was bananas.
Magical is the word I use.
Oh,
it was magical.
Mike
Potter, man. Are y'all doing Blacktoberfest in North Carolina in October?
We just hollered at Mike today.
Yeah, man. We're gonna be there doing it again.
Hold on. To the novices out here that are not familiar, come on, give us some game. What is Blacktoberfest? Come on now.
Well, we can't speak completely to it. I can't speak completely to it, but
okay, all right.
A couple of people are launching events. We will be at
society. That's what you're saying, Tia. Okay, you on some secret society shit right now.
no. I'm saying
I will say this: if there's a black beer event, we will be participating as we should, because we need to be a part of every black beer event that happens. I don't care what city it is, we should be there supporting, promoting, pushing, bringing everybody together. So,
but what I can tell you, more up and coming is on May 28th. Your boy will be in Atlanta. I got 4 pallets of beer that I'm bringing with me. Hop City, May 28th. Happy hour. Jump off game for Memorial Day weekend. Hop City, West End, let's go.
After party in Atlanta.
After party in Atlanta.
Oh shit, it's official.
It's official.
Say not to be stupid. We got the room. Hey, Benny,
it's done.
I might have to come. I might come for a day.
Wait a minute, you already have plans?
What we gotta do, man?
I'm gonna drag Leighton out, Keenan. I'm gonna get everybody out. We're gonna get a whole everybody to come out.
Look, we have earned this holiday weekend, the first one with everybody semi outside. So I'm gonna need you to.
All right.
May 28th. May 28th. Hop City.
We vaccinated, man. We don't need no mask.
Same. Let's get it.
Vaccinated, smoking weed, man. Let's do it.
All right. So look, we got 4 minutes left, guys. This went pretty quick. I do want to know what both of these two amazing companies are excited about coming up in the next before the year is out. What are some of the things that you're looking to roll out? Just tell the people like what's the next chapter with the world opening up.
On our side, we are laser focused on continuing to release amazing beer, getting it into the spaces that we know our community exists, and most importantly, opening up this production facility. If all goes to plan, we are telling the universe we would love to have something open by Super Bowl of next year in Inglewood. Let's get it popping. We need to be a part of that experience. But that's our focus, great products and opening this space.
Yeah, and I would just add to that too, for everybody just to keep following us. We have some stupid news to drop in a couple of weeks that we're really ironing out. But I tell you, it is a game changer.
Okay.
And hopefully something that will not only impact us as a brand, but ultimately our industry. It's pretty huge. And like I said, May 28th, Hop City, Atlanta, Georgia, West End. We're going to turn up. We're going to have both HBCU IPAs out there, Urban Anomaly Stout, which is the Guinness Killer, and the Glow Up, which is your boy, the collaboration with Jay Wakefield. So both will be available. And dude, we love Atlanta, bro. And again, shout out to Jim Price.
One more question before you let it go. Where can people in Atlanta find your product? Or can we find it?
It will be primarily at the Hop City, but we have a beer locator. So as soon as we have the exact locations that it's available, you could go to the website, crownsandobs.com, go to the beer locator, put in your zip code, and it'll take you right to where we can be found in Atlanta.
Fire. I'll be stocking up this weekend. All right, my brothers, y'all give me the game. What y'all got? What we doing for the rest of the year, baby?
Close this out, man.
So we just finished wrapping up our deluxe album to our 40 album that we dropped in September. It's called 40 Plus. You know, us guys, we in our 40s hanging out, having fun, doing hip hop and beer. So we're dropping that Juneteenth, that Friday of Juneteenth. We're gonna do a big shindig here about that, celebrating, just that. We're working on new music, developing a few artists with our label, Not Regular. And we're wrapping up our licensing issues right now. We have building and I want to say the Department of Revenue. And once that happens, we're tightening up our electrical in the back, and we're brewing by July. Hopefully we can be open mid-July, and we're selling beer all summer. Nice. We're going to celebrate Nabaroo's Day. We're doing the Brownie Bash with Pontoon in August. 40 Acres. And the Brew is the TV show that we're working on. That's coming out hopefully this fall. We're going to have fun just making beer and bringing hip-hop to it, man.
I love everything you guys are saying. I got one last question, and it doesn't have to be long at all. just to put a little bow on the hip hop and craft beer conversation, what would be you guys outside of yourself dream collaboration with someone from hip hop? Doesn't necessarily have to be an artist. It could be a producer. It could be a graph artist. It could be someone, just contributed heavily to the culture. What would be your dream collaboration with a craft beer?
I go first. Me, Rihanna, if you're listening. She is a huge beer drinker.
Fire.
Let's get some boss
Let's
female
go.
Black women.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Going.
That's a thing.
Rihanna, call me.
That's a thing.
Craft beer.
That's a thing right there, Benny.
Legitimate thing. I'm putting it in the universe. It's coming.
Like
Rihanna, Crowns and Halves, holla, Benny. Let's do it.
That would be beautiful.
I think I'd have to say K. Dot. Easy for me. Kendrick Lamar, I think, was huge to Pimp a Butterfly. I think was a transformative piece of art.
Facts.
And I feel like Benny and I try and represent that as it relates to just offering a scope, as opposed to just saying that we're what we were before and that we have much more to offer in the future. So yeah, K. Dot collab would be dope.
Fire. You gentlemen?
Shit, we rappers already. I want to make a beer with crowd. Yeah, shit. Like,
you said what?
I want to make a beer with Crowns and Hops.
Hey.
That's happening no matter what. There's gotta be someone.
Is that
And
too
this thing
easy?
about beer, it doesn't have to be music. It can be anybody. You could do a beer with
And
Obama.
Skinny, I started it with Skinny.
I just said it.
I started with not
I
you,
want to make a
goddamn.
beer with Crowns and Hops.
Crowns and Hops.
Done.
Y'all down here.
Done. It dropped right here. No label needed.
We love
Collab.
y'all down here for real, man. Y'all are like rock stars in our circle, man. People really appreciate what y'all doing. I agree with Skinny. I would love to. I can see the power in the room if we did a beer, man. It would just be great for. It would be great for.
If needed, bro.
It'd be great for our rap career.
Listen.
It'd be great for our rap career. Like we would get more streams because we fucking with Crowns and Hops. That's
Look. Before we let that go, Keenan the Maven got a little seed money, so I want a little piece of this collabo on this specific one.
Come on in.
So when the plan comes together,
A note to it though, for
we
real.
get it.
I would love to get Jay-Z going for the top, like Jay-Z to come in and say, yeah, I see what's going on. I see what's going on with Black people in beer. I want to help move it forward.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
I love it. I think we can close there,
He
guys.
would collab with the whole craft beer industry.
Yeah, it would be a whole craft beer thing. It wouldn't be about Atlantucky at that point. It would be about the whole craft beer industry.
It'd be about creating the infrastructure that propels this thing forward. I understand.
Exactly.
I say it all the time. If Drake, Jay-Z, Migos, 2 Chainz, if any one of them opened up a brewery for real, like they really opened up a brewery or got behind somebody that was Black, that knew how to brew and believed in them, and they got them that 20-barrel system with those 40-barrel fermenters, and he had the knowledge and know-how to get a distribution deal and get a brand that could get out there to the Total Wines and Moors all over the country or the region, that artist would make millions of dollars year-round.
Out of here.
Skinny said it.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it got to be us. We're going to be good. We good. Don't worry about us.
Yeah, we good.
Kenny, you hear that? Kenny, you hear that? That's the
I'm in the building. Like, I'm here for all of this. I'm about that life. I'm about
You saw
that.
what we did for Carl Canal and Cross Colors. You saw what we do for Gucci. We know what we do for any other brand that we support that is not ours. You know what we do for that brand. So imagine if we all just said, okay, we're going to start drinking beer today.
We're gonna produce the first Fear of God beer.
Ooh.
Man, it's easy money, man. We just got to get
I'm
on
here to pull up. Let's go.
That's a thing. All right, this is it, guys. May 28th, we all connected. We're gonna continue this conversation to all the people. Amazing conversation. Thank you for attending. Thank you, Jim Price, again. And we appreciate the time. Let's get to this money.